Hello and welcome back to Talk Seagulls. And we're back at the Caxton Arms again, and we've got a very, very different video, actually. Very much a different one with a Palace fan looking at me very eagle-eyed over here, and I did mean the pun. I'm very sorry about that. But it is Riley, my friend. Debut, by the way.
I know. What subject to get thrown into as well, mate,
yeah, I know. Talking a bit about Palace. I mean, to be honest, I actually think it's a great one for someone that's our generation to be talking about. Because people... nowadays on social media call it a plastic tin pot rivalry. Why the Brighton and Palace M23 derby makes me go crazy. And I think when you look at like the older generation, for example, of both of our sets of fans, you know, there's a lot that's changed in football now. You know, Brighton are a very different team now. Palace are a different team now. You know, we're both at the top level. And, you know, does that rivalry still exist? Do we still hate each other as much as, you know, people say? But I guess I'll fire that straight at you, Riley. What do you hate Brighton and how much do you hate
Mate, I think, it speaks for itself, really, the game. It's when the fixtures come out, it's the first one you look at, and it home and away, book it off work, etc. Actually, you don't play that gamble, the Sussex police.
I was going to say,
you don't know what day that's going to get thrown on. But yeah, to answer your question completely, it's a massive game. I feel like only the fans understand how much it's worth. And I think even the players, obviously we lost Zaha, which is quite a big miss to the derby,
true.
Wasn't it? I feel like he was one of our players that actually got it. Obviously, with the amount of nationalities in the Premier League now, it's quite hard to try and describe this rivalry. Oh, so why do you hate each other? Oh, yeah, because the manager threw a coin. Do you know what I mean? It's not one to really get the players up for it. So I mean, it's one where the fans really feel it, and it's a hard one to explain. When the Sky Sports label it as the M23 derby, it doesn't know any favours. Do you know what I mean? It gets battered on Twitter all over a motorway, and it's a bit like I said, the fans.
Motorway derby.
Exactly, and it's the fans. You see it, you feel it. Do you know what I mean? You go to that game, and you just obviously I've been to the Amex a few times. Not great experiences, but you proper feel it in the stadium. I think you'd agree with that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think when you actually go, and to be fair, that's actually one thing I'll give Fabian Hertzler a lot of credit for. He went to, was it Palace away last season?
Yes, I saw that. That was mental.
Which is mad. I think he was on an internship at the club or something like that, and as a part of that, he wanted to sort of feel what the fans felt, and probably actually for someone that's German coming to England to try out, you know, a bit of Premier League action. You know, if you, as you say, look at it on a map, we're nowhere near each other, and you think why do they hate each other? But as we were talking about off there, the amount of, you know, clubs around, particularly Brighton area. I mean, if I was going to be a different fan, realistically, I could be a Crawley fan, but then why'd you do that? Then you got
who your rivals then? Do you know what I mean?
And then you got Brighton's down the road for me, and then any further that way, I'm looking at Portsmouth maybe, but that's a bit of a trek, and I never really go that way anyway. So you know, there's not a great deal of clubs around here. I saw a stat that if Brighton everyone supported their local team in this country, we'd be the biggest club in the country, which is very believable. But back on a Palace point of view, anyway, there's been a lot of memories over the years.
Yeah, you got the Zaha playoff final, you got the Benteke, you've got this season's as well, which was iconic.
Make me want to.
You over it yet?
So much. No. Well, I am. I got over it when we beat you last season, that 4-1, because I said to you, like, I feel like we never smashed you in the years where we were so good.
No one did really, did they? No. There was always fine margins.
And particularly sort of just after lockdown when we had De Zerbi and we were rinsing teams 4-5-0 a lot of weeks, right? And that's when Palace were down at the bottom end of the table, and we thought, you know, if there's going to be a time where we can really, really put our authority on Palace, you know, it should be now. And especially with our team now, you know, we lost 3-1 this season. I can't believe the manner in which we did it, and I still don't think it's got enough, maybe not criticism, but you know, it's not been really, dug out maybe as much as it could have been. And yeah, we were really, really bad. And I think that's what for me is the biggest thing. We never really, really hit you. That 4-1, I feel like, yes, we did it. You know, we got to you. Maybe could have been a few
awful
more.
Day. Elise came on second half. He could start the 45 or play the second half, and Hodgson threw him. What was the score at half time? Was it 3?
Yeah, I think it was 3. Yeah, because you went 3-1 after
came
half-time.
on, went for a 50-50 loose ball, chased it, hammy popped, and I thought, turned around to my dad, I went, should we call it there?
I can't believe he even came on in that game.
Yeah, no, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous goal.
And then I think, I felt like you were at prime banter era.
Because you were singing Hodgson, we want you to stay, etc. And I thought, this is... I had nightmare a couple of days before, and I thought, this is literally it.
Yeah, I thought you were at prime banter era, and I think maybe we got a little bit too ahead of ourselves, actually, looking back on last season and maybe where we've suffered this season. And actually, that's quite a good point for me, because this season I've always said that I've not been quite convinced over it, and I've always wanted a bit more. And particularly what you saw last year was that De Zerbi really, really wanted to beat Palace.
Hard teams break down Brighton were under Deserby,
yeah,
I think. Yeah.
And he made it quite well. I suppose if you ask Luton that question, they're very much different.
Yeah.
But I think if you were to ask a Brighton fan about Deserby, and especially if you were to ask Deserby at the time, it was really, really killed, especially teams that you're rivals with. And nowadays it's changed a little bit. Obviously he's not here, but also a lot of the other players and staff aren't, and they've all gone up the same sort of road.
Chelsea took the catering team as well.
Yeah,
didn't
they pulled over in Cobham, and they were all gone as well. And for me, I mean, particularly in the last few years, I think if you were to ask a lot of modern Brighton fans, they now really hate Chelsea.
Yeah.
And rightly so. But as well, you've got the middle ground who grew up hating Palace, grew up hating Brighton. You know, you don't really have a great deal of rivals. I guess it's Millwall for you.
Yeah, it's Millwall and Charlton, but that was like before my era. Do you know what I mean? Like we play you regularly now every season. Hopefully, if we don't get relegated, and you don't. I never really grew up with the same passion. Obviously, the older generation have towards Millwall and Charlton because. Yeah. I think during my time we've only played them. Obviously during the Championship we've got a Millwall in a couple of weeks and the FA Cup, which obviously will be a massive game. But I haven't felt that passion that I have with them towards Brighton, kind of thing. Like down in my area in Horsham, everyone supports either Palace or Brighton. It's quite
it's quite a mix,
you go to a calendar shop at Christmas. You know what I mean? It's actually slam bang in the middle. And so I got my friends who are Brighton, family, my job, I'm a barber, a load of Brighton fans. Every week we get tonked. Do you know what I mean? They come in and go, good result for Palace. Do you know what I mean? Like. It's that everyday chat down in our area, Palace Brighton. It's so big rivalry, and you think, like I said, it was all over just a manager throwing a coin, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what's mad.
Yeah, trying to tell that someone, and like I said, trying to get players pumped. Oh yeah, why is this a rivalry? Oh yeah, because Alan Mullery decided to do this. Do you know what I mean? The South American players you saw are gonna be like, what?
Yeah. Well, Mullery's one, an absolute icon. Two, that photo of him in front of the Palace fans is fantastic. You're not even worth that Palace was apparently the line that he used. But then I suppose when you look at it from nowadays' point of view, I mean, if that was to happen now, yes, okay, you'd probably have a bit of spite towards that certain team.
Yeah.
Whether it would have lasted 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, I'm not so sure, you know, because I think, but I guess we've got more reason to hate Chelsea in that respect. There's a bit more backstory on it, at least, all your staff and players do go. There's a lot of spite in that. There's a lot of animosity when you play against each other. You can certainly feel it. We've played them twice on the bounce at the time of recording this. You can feel the players are, they would take it seriously.
Cucurella's not very well liked down this area, is he?
No comment. Only because of who's on this show with me at the moment, apparently. But yeah, no, it's a really strange one, and one of those seemingly icons and heroes and legends. And I will use the word legend because he is a legend in my eyes. Because I asked Brett upstairs, what's your take on this subject before I asked downstairs, and he said, well, he still works for us, so therefore he likes us more. Yeah. So he's our legend and not yours. Although I still do see him interacting quite a fair bit, and that guy is a very good goal scorer in the name of Glenn Murray. And it's such a weird one.
It is a weird one. I can't really, apart from like Sol Campbell, what other examples are there?
Well, the difference is it would be like Sol Campbell going back.
Yeah. And obviously Sol Campbell's not seen as a legend at both clubs, is he? So, yeah.
Not at all. And that's what is really strange. I mean, to give a bit of backstory on how it come about, obviously he was an unbelievable goal scorer at Brighton and helping us get promoted to the Championship. For whatever reason, didn't get the contract from Gus, and like that, he's gone to Palace and claimed he didn't know the rivalry, whatever.
Northern lad, isn't he, Murray?
Yeah, he's Northern guy. I mean, he said when he signed for Brighton, he'd never even heard of Brighton. And I guess, to be fair, if you're from that neck of the woods, well, to be honest, I probably would agree with him. I mean, if you were up there and it was before social media era, before Brighton were that much of a relevant club, you probably aren't going to know too much about them. But regardless, on that aside, it's a really strange one. He's gone to Palace, and I think he hit 31 goals in that record
the first
goals.
Season for us, Murray. Played regularly. He's got about 6-7 goals. He wasn't really firing. I think at the club, then we had quite a few strikers, so he didn't really get a constant run of games, kind of thing. But he never, a lot of Palace fans actually forget about Murray's first season. Honestly, the following one.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he was the second highest goal scorer in Europe, I think he was. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's mad. I didn't realise that, I've got to be honest, if that was the case. But yeah, he became a legend, really. Yeah,
mate. Growing up, Murray was an icon to me. Do you know what I mean? There's so many iconic goals. There's one at Old Trafford in the Carling Cup, scored against you twice, and he's just, and it's such a shame that he never really played those semi-final. He was injured. We had to rock up. Yeah, it was his first one. First leg, he got injured, didn't he?
God, he didn't play in that. Oh my God.
We'll never forget what your fans chanted at him, but
I didn't chant that.
Yeah. It's crazy, obviously. Everyone forgets about that. And then Murray didn't play second leg, turned up Aaron Wilbraham at your place, done the job. And then playoff final, Aaron Will-Brown went out front. He missed a load of chances. I turned to my dad and said, God, we miss Muzza.
Yeah. Oh, shivering right here. This is putting me off him now, isn't it? It's really weird speaking to a Palace fan about this in the same sort of way.
It came up in discussion the other day, actually. I saw a Twitter thing where Mateta is firing for us now. I think he's become third or second highest goal scorer in the Premier League. And someone was saying, if Mateta left now, who'd be remembered more as an icon, him or Murray? And I personally think Murray. Do you know what I mean? You look back on Murray and watched the montage actually yesterday, and there's so many little goals you just forget about. And you don't see a number 9 like that now. Do you know what I mean? A bloke that can actually hold up the ball, play with two direct wingers. It doesn't happen really. Yeah,
I think when Murray was playing as a striker as well, he was one in the era of proper goal scorers and sort of, you know, that traditional-esque type of football. Yeah. But as well, I think I always stood by it. I thought that if he played at any level, because of how clinical he was, he would have done it and he would have scored goals.
He scored so many goals.
You rarely remember him missing big chances, you know, and that's for you. And that's for
a proper penalty technique, and like Tony when it's stop and Burmo, do you know what I mean? He goes up and hits the ball as hard as he can.
I've got to be honest though, I did fancy Toma Hemed on a penalty, but that's a different story. But yeah, I mean, Murray was a legend here, and he still is. I think when he came back, I hated him between 2011 and, you know, when we were into the Championship and he would score against us. He scored against us for you lot. Yeah. He then went to Reading. He scored against us for them.
He went alone to Reading before he went to Bournemouth, didn't he?
Yeah, I remember vividly him scoring, I think, twice in that game against us. I think it was like 2-2.
Yeah. Did he celebrate?
No, he didn't. Yeah. But it just felt weird. And I remember turning to my dad at the time and I just said, Murray scored, you know, and it just felt weird.
Yeah. You don't say it's a silence after that, innit?
And you just think, oh, God's sake, you know. And we need to get that clip, FFS Murray, YouTube, please. Yes. That needs to be that has
First
to be
win at the Amex 3-1, wasn't it?
Yeah, that and then cut it to where we've scored since then. But then, he comes back and he's a legend, right? He scored another, 53 goals, I think, to add to a 50-odd before that.
Was it under one where he scored at our place as well? Do you remember the ball came over the top?
Yeah, that's a great goal that was.
Yeah,
that was
proper Murray,
Yeah, proper Glenn Murray. And, okay, how did you feel at that moment when he scored that goal?
You never forget the celebrations when he gave the old that one and then
why are you doing that?
He's got so many. And I remember when I used to play kids football, I used to copy it, mate. I used to love the bloke.
So did I.
Yeah. and that's the impact Glenn Murray has on both clubs. You know what I mean? Who else has horrible. That? Yeah. And he was just such a down-to-earth bloke. And obviously he does punditry now, and my dad's bumped into him a few times at South Lodge, and he still speaks wholesomely of both clubs, you know what I mean? It's one of them that'd be very, very easy to take the Brighton side, considering now he's ambassador at the club, and he's really good at just finding middle ground between a club and another club that dislike each other, and that's why I always respect him, mate.
Yeah, agree. And now I'm going to put a complete curveball in there, and not because I agree with it, but I was talking to a friend of mine that said that you can't be a legend for both teams, and that's from someone that isn't a Brighton fan or a Palace fan. He just said you can't be, and it's pathetic, really, probably on our part in letting him back. And I think that's quite true, probably. If I remember at the time when we signed him, and I remember posting it on Talk Seagulls actually, and weirdly enough, I found a photo of it when he was shaking hands with Paul Barr the other day. 2016 it was when he came back, and I just remember that feeling of thinking, this is weird, you know, and I thought he's going to have to do a lot to win us over. And I think it was that first home game against Forest and he scored twice. I just thought, he's back.
It don't take much for Murray, does it? You know, it's two touches and he's scored, he's back,
And I just thought, oh my God, he's actually back and he's actually scoring. And then hearing his name, you know, goal scorer, 17.
What chant did you have for Murray? Because I was scoring goals for Palace.
Yeah, I know. I remember that one. But no, it was only one Glenn Murray. And he still gets it. He was at Fulham away a few weeks ago. And
he does something at BBC now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's done really well. And he's a really great, I think I heard him a lot on punditry and we always listen to him. He's on Sky quite a bit.
He's a really nice guy.
Talks really well, I think, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. I've interacted with him a lot in the past from this and from other things. And I love seeing him do his media thing. He always said he wanted to be in the media and he's now doing it. So that's really, really good to see. But as I say, from a external point of view, they're probably looking at this thinking, what a bunch of losers. You know, how would you both like him? If anyone's going to like him more, it should be you and not me. And I'm the one that's got so much
we
high
find
praise
us both
for him,
promotion. You know? Without Murray's goals, we wouldn't be where we are now. And it's the same for you lot. Like you said, promoting you up from League One. Do you know what I mean? It's just
it wasn't even that. He got us up, and then in the Premier League, he got another 13.
Well, do you remember there was talk about him going? England called up. And people were saying he's too old. I said, Glenn Murray's never too old, mate. If you show him in the back of the net he'll show you where it is. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree. It is a really weird one. But sort of final thing from you. So you're saying you can be a legend for both.
Oh, 100%. And what I liked about Murray, I think a comment that I think sums him up really well is the reason he didn't celebrate when we played you, because his kids were still in school in Brighton, and he was getting like the kids were like a little bit of playground banter about Murray, and I think that comment there really summed him up as a person. He done his football talking on the pitch. You know what I mean? He scored goals, and that was it. He just went around his day-to-day life just scoring goals. And there's so many iconic goals where I look back on and I think, do you know what? Like, they're like some of my best Palace memories. And it was just Glenn Murray. And like I said, the Carling Cup, Man United, he scored, and it was a bit like, yeah, so many iconic goals, Murray. I think that was one in extra time, 1-2-1. Yeah, 3-2-1. I can't remember the exact score, but that was him again, gave it the old iconic that. You look back at it and you think, just because we got it from Brighton, or we went back to Brighton, he shouldn't be seen as any less of a legend in my eyes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Coming back here, 50-odd goals again, 13 in the Prem, and again.
Yeah.
It's silly numbers, really.
It is. You go back and you look at how many he's bagged. It's crazy.
Yeah, 111 goals for us, I think, total. Oh. He's our all-time record goal scorer. So 111 goals for us is very impressive. I think he's since the World Wars and stuff. He's post-war goal scorers. He's the all-time, and we've still not seen anyone really come in and replace that sort of player. Maybe you see that in Ferguson before his injuries. Unfortunately, maybe might have killed him off a little bit. But yeah, really, really weird one. It just feels really weird hearing you say
it's
so
like when you asked me
things.
to come on this and talk about Murray, I thought, God, that's quite a day of you want to get thrown into.
Yeah.
Like you said, you go and ask 10 Palace fans and you go and ask 10 Brighton fans, and they will give you different opinions on the bloke. I still read daily on Twitter, but people talk about
Some
Murray.
people haven't forgiven him.
Yeah.
Some people haven't forgiven him.
And
I know
it's crazy because you look at where we are now, and we wouldn't be, like I said earlier, we wouldn't be here without him. And football's a very fickle game. I think you'd agree with me on that. Do you know what I mean? There's little bits where like people like to remove from their memory, and it's stuff like that. But you've got to look back and think, you've got to remember the players that got you here. There's mental money that's thrown around in football now. When you're 80 million signings, you're 70 million signings, and you forget about the little ones that actually got you to spending that money in the first place.
How does a Palace fan feel about Brighton now? Looking at us now.
Well, I used to say last season, a lot of my mates agree, like it was all good beating you on the football pitch, but I think off the football pitch you're a lot better run than us. I think our Palace fans watching this now kind of think we still haven't replaced players. Like, it took us so long to replace Wan-Bissaka. With Daniel Munoz now, I'd say we probably replaced him. Michael Elise, we haven't. I know you can't replace Michael Elise, what he's doing in Champions League.
Yeah, he's top level.
We tried to replace him in multiple signings. And what I feel like with you guys, I think you'd agree, Ron, before the players left, and even the manager, you have players lined up. We're not like that at Palace, you know what I mean? We will genuinely wait for the player to sign the contract, then they're left, and then we'll go, right, we'll replace them. And I think a proper club run off the field, sadly, and I have to say, that's you lot, really. And I think the recruitment, etc., is stuff that we could definitely take some advice off, do you know what I mean? And it's frustrating because I feel like we're a bit of a club waiting to push on. You look at Bournemouth now, for example, you look at Forest, and you think, when's our chance? And also, you had your chance in Europe, do you know what I mean? You had those days out, and sadly, I don't think we'll ever have
Amsterdam was great fun.
It was all good getting battling in Rome, but I thought, do you know what? You had the day out, and we haven't had that.
Yeah, no, that's a very commendable response, to be honest. I think from my point of view, looking at Palace, it's weird, really. I can never truly tell how I feel. I feel like Glasner's a good manager.
Glasner's the best manager we'll ever have. It's the fact if the club back him, which I really hope they do. There's money to be spent there. We lost quite a few sales in the summer, kind of thing. Anderson went, a lot of players moved on, and that was a thing. Like, prime example, we lost Anderson. Obviously, I knew that we weren't expecting that money from Fulham. But we left it to deadline day to get the centre back in, and that's the thing that Glasner's moaning about publicly, which I like, is we leave it so late. And with you lot, obviously, when Ruter joined and players like that, etc., it was done early, wasn't it? Yeah,
no, it's very true. It's very true. Our contingency planning, that's the PR thing that's being told. But it works. And we can't complain as Brighton fans. We can't complain too much anyway. At least off the pitch, I think we're fantastic on it. I think we've got an unbelievable squad. I think we do still have the better team between the two of us. I think
that's what I said, mate. We beat you 3-1 early in the season. It's a bit like,
but that 3-1 for me is the difference of where we are this season.
I think we were due a win over you. I think it's been a long time.
That, but I think there's also that aggression, maybe that a bit more team cohesion that you have at the moment. And I think that's probably the only thing. Don't get me wrong. I think we've got a better side individually, and that will probably win us over the course of a season more games, get more points from just being carried out of that. But I feel like there's a lot to take from that Palace game anyway.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I think with us, Ryan, we've got a strong 11. We have not got the bench at all, mate. You look at our bench week, it's got a bit better now. We've got players back, but you've got players to bring on, like Matt O'Reilly. How much did you spend on him?
25 million.
Comes off the bench. Players like that, except we haven't got that, mate. We have not got that.
No, and that comes with success, and that's completely testament to what we've done here. And I think we'll see, with Palace. I think that you're a team that could do better, but you're still that you're still just there.
Yeah.
And I feel like until you maybe break that, have a bit of a restructuring within the business or whatever it is that you do, I think that you have to start doing that young player thing.
That's
have to start doing that.
Look at Eze, Elise, Gahey, players that you buy from SA recently from Millwall. You buy players from the Championship.
Yeah, and you get them.
And I don't mind being that stepping stone. If you create players with Elise, he wouldn't be at Bayern if it wasn't for us.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for us. And you look at that and you take in Maya when he's doing that in Champions League stage, thinking, that's what he did at Palace. I remember telling my mates about Elise for ages, man. Watch out for him. Yeah. He's unreal. Going, he wouldn't be playing for Palace. Look at that now. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he came from Reading, didn't he? And he was top there as well. But no, I agree with you. And I think that's one thing that will keep our club always progressing in the way we are, is that, even from now, Balaba's come in for, say, Caicedo, and could arguably be sold for even more than him if you judge it off this season. And that goes across the entire squad. You've got so much; it's ridiculous. It goes deep into the 23s, into the 18s. That squad is very, very packed with a lot of talent. They've started breaking boundaries really to keep in a lot of local boys as well. Which as you see with what's the lad's name, Toby Collier, that went to Manchester United. Yeah. There was a bit of a raid on us on that point of view.
Oh, was he? He was
from here. Yeah, he's Worthing boy.
Oh, but
he's a local lad, and now doing his thing at Man United. One, fair play to him, but two, credit, one, because we couldn't keep hold of him, but two, the fact we actually learned a little bit and thought, okay, we can keep hold of Freddie Simmons, we can keep hold of Harry Howe, we can keep hold of Jack Hinchelwood, and really making that next generation.
We've recently invested in Cat One Academy, and it's all good bringing it, because that South London's one of the best pool talents. Look at the players got Sancho and etc. have all come from around that area, and it's one you definitely like. Tamori was from on our doorstep.
Big chances missed that actually, to be honest. Never.
And that's why I'm glad the club has invested in that, because it's all good spending money on players outside and going to spend tons of money abroad. But having that core of talent, saves you so much money.
Well, your catchment is good as well in London.
I'd say one of the best in England, easy by a long way. And it's one of them where you've got to take advantage of it, because there's teams sitting there, Chelsea, City, United, who will snatch them up, who get in their ear and go, well, we'll offer you this. And it's back to keeping them players. And that's the hardest thing, mate. When United, I know they're awful at the moment, kind of thing. When they come knocking, the player are going to say no. And that's regardless of whatever they're at.
Yeah, I agree. Riley, good chat.
Yeah.
Appreciated it. Make sure you follow him. Also, don't follow any of his Palace stuff, because if you do that, you just be a bit weird. But no, make sure you give him all the love he deserves. I think that was a really good episode. A very respectful Brighton and Palace conversation.
No, it's good to have one as well, isn't it? Because you speak to anyone and they go, I hate Palace. You're going to give any reasoning for that, etc. But I think it's nice to sit down here, one view, another view, and have a natural discussion over it. And especially a player like Murray, do you know what I mean? It's quite good getting his general opinion, because it's nice hearing your guys' opinion on him. Yeah. And then ours as well. I think it should be more put out there how well of a great player he was at both clubs. Yeah, agree. But I won't like you too much. Yeah. Because I still remember that 3-1. We have to beat you at your place, honestly. That'd be interesting to get April, I've got that in my head. We have to win that game, because I can't live with that 3-1, and I really hope the squad echo that. But we'll see. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow Talk Seagulls as well, and we'll see you hopefully at the Caxton Arms. But if not, we'll see you next time. Cheers, guys. Thank you.